Those stories coming up, but first, Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull heads off overseas tonight for a meeting of G20 nations in Germany. And there are some big challenges for world leaders, no more so than the increasing threat posed by North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un. More about that later. However, Mr Turnbull leaves Australia after a difficult fortnight, largely caused by his predecessor, Tony Abbott. The former PM's latest criticism, revealed in a secret recording, includes labelling the May budget second best and saying the Liberal Party is at a low ebb. It's prompted John Howard's one-time enforcer, now Cabinet Minister Arthur Sinodinos, to call for Mr Abbott to ensure his interventions are helpful to the government. Here's political correspondent Andrew Probyn.
When you're a leader suffocating under too much talk about itself, get outside. Be a man of the people. Speak directly to the voters rather than through those pesky journalists.
I often get the ferry. I don't always have our friends from the ABC with us.
It avoids those tricky questions. Or does it?
What are you going to do about Mr Abbott?
Well,
tough question, that.
I'll pass on that one.
So are some of his ministers.
I'm here for a good news announcement today. I'm not really here to stoke any internal dissension.
But Tony Abbott continues to behave like a leader in exile. Leaked audio of a speech he gave to Conservative Liberals on Monday night reveals more criticism of the May budget and the government's direction.
If you listen to senior members of the government, because of the reality, the unfortunate reality of the Senate, we've had to bring forward a budget which is second best.
The government isn't interested in the background noise of politics. And you know what? The Australian people are turning down the background noise.
I think Tony Abbott's being a huge pain in the arse right now.
Well, if I'm annoying Nick, that's probably no bad thing.
Nick Xenophon mightn't be on the government benches, but he speaks for them on Tony Abbott. The Senate crossbencher and the government are much more interested in news out of South Australia, that troubled steelmaker Arrium has found a British buyer.
This is a great day for Whyalla, a great day for South Australia and a great day for the national steelmaking capability of this country.
Arrium went into voluntary administration last year with debts of more than $4 billion. More than 5,000 jobs have been in the balance for 15 months.
Working through this issue at Arrium has been difficult. I want to pay particular credit to Arthur Sinodinos and Greg Hunt before him and Christopher Fine before him. All those three ministers worked very closely to get this outcome.
Arthur Sinodinos, the Treasurer, credits you and two other ministers with helping Arrium find a buyer. You must be relieved.
Look, I'm very happy for the people of Whyalla and the people of Australia. It's important for us to have a viable steel industry in Australia. I think there's very positive vibes around the industry. Manufacturing employment in Australia is going up. So I think there's just a feeling manufacturing is getting on with the job, and steel is an important part of it.
Now, Tony Abbott continues to suck oxygen from the government. How do you handle a man like Mr Abbott?
Tony, as a former Prime Minister and now backbencher, has a capacity, has a privilege, has a right to speak on matters. That must, of course, not occur in a way which appears to overshadow the mission of the government. And the important thing here is to say that at the end of the day, I'm a Liberal first. I'm not a Conservative first or a small L Liberal first. I'm a Liberal. The things that unite us, as John Howard and others used to say, are always bigger than things that divide us.
Well, let's take some of his criticisms. He said on Monday night that the party's at a low ebb and that senior members of the government, including yourself, I take it, concede the budget is second best.
Well,
is that fair?
Let me tell you about the budget. The budget reset the government's policy approach. It gave backbenchers a solid number of things to sell out in their electorates. The second thing it did was to make sure that from next year, anything we borrow will be for investment, for capital, it won't be for recurrent spending, and it set in place a plan that we have a surplus by 2021. Now, what is small L Liberal or leftish about taking measures to create a surplus by 2021? That is the overriding objective.
So you reject his criticism that the government and the party has lurched left?
Yes, I do. I mean, Malcolm Turnbull gets accused of lurching to the right and being in the pocket of the right. Others, attack him for being on the left. Well, I think what he's doing as a mature, responsible, rational leader is weighing up policy in various areas and saying, this is complex, these are the multifaceted things we have to deal with. Yes, we have to communicate them as clearly and as simply to people, but he doesn't eschew the hard job of dealing with complex issues.
Complex issues are exactly what Malcolm Turnbull faces when he leaves for a week-long overseas trip tonight, first to Germany for the G20 talks. You never know, talking about the rogue state North Korea, Syria and the global cyber threat might even be welcome relief for the Prime Minister, given the internal warfare he's endured of late. It's not been a happy fortnight for the government. Tony Abbott has made sure of that. One minister told me there's nothing that can be done about the former PM except aim to govern better. Easy said when you've got a rogue of your own, unafraid of firing well-timed missiles. Malcolm Turnbull's allies will worry Mr Abbott only steps up his campaign while the PM's away.
The last thing I want to do is to be difficult.
I'm not going to comment on the gentleman you described.
Well, Malcolm probably has his own way of showing his appreciation.
Well, only days